My name is Diana Amonde. I studied at Daystar University, Bachelor of Electronic Media. I indulge myself into entrepreneurship. My journey of entrepreneurship has been a great success. I never imagined, I never expected, because it's just started as a story. My entrepreneurial journey is, I have a partner that we started business with, and when we started business, it started like a joke, you know, and I was like, ooh, a small girl in a little world? How am I going to handle a world of million, you know? And I'm also from a very humble background. So I'm from a village in Rongo. It's called Rongo in Migori County. So yeah, when we started with my partner, we bought the first house, and put in mind I didn't have any skills. I hadn't did any research. I didn't go to school of entrepreneurship, like let's say real estate. So I was just like, okay, I studied journalism. I know how to communicate really well. So I was like, this is not gonna defeat me. So I'm gonna use my journalism skills to network with different people and different platforms. So when my partner and I bought the first apartment, I got involved in groups of real estate, in groups of agents, and that's how I started my journey of real estate. And I can assure you, it's true, it's an investment, because it's beautiful. And it was something great for me because at 21 years old, a girl from the village, very you know the setup in the city and the setup in the village. So the two things were kind of culture shock for me, because I couldn't imagine just a little girl could be somewhere, you know. I like to use the word little, not to mean that I'm a small child, but I mean that the world is full of a lot of things, a lot of controversy, a lot of mistakes, and everyone wants to be perfect. So I prefer myself as a little girl that time, because the people I was dealing with were big. I remember at some point I went to a meeting at Kenya Film Commission, and the CEO was just walking around looking for Diana, and Diana was just seated there. So I was like, oh, so he was like, oh, so you're Diana? And I'm like, yeah, it's me. So he was expecting to see someone who was huge. So that's where I got the word little girl, because I was like, oh, so he didn't see me seated there. So that's how I can say that currently Nairobi is really on the top when it comes to real estate, because I've seen a lot of developers are evolving around the market. The real estate market in Nairobi just needs you to be smart, because I've interacted with people who rent 30 apartments and they didn't buy them. So they rent 30 apartments and they get money from that. But now the greatest challenge is, what if you don't have a house, you don't have a client by then? So you need to have that income. But also I can say it's for everyone, as long as you believe in yourself and you can make your goal come true. So the market here is really nice, and also it depends with the season. Yeah. Because there are times that you get a lot of clients until you don't want to take long term, you know. But then there are times that you just want long term because there are no clients of short term. Real estate actually means the business of buying and selling properties. Yeah, so when I call myself a realtor, I'm into buying and selling of properties. I've been a client myself, and so I know the process. And I've also brought other people who bought, so I was presenting myself as an agent. As a realtor, in Nairobi, the Chinese and the Indians and the Turkish are the ones who are leading the real estate in Kenya. Kenyans are there, but I would say Chinese, Turkish and Indians. So let's say as a realtor, when I bring a client, I work with a developer who is a Chinese, let's say a Chinese company. So this Chinese company, they build apartments that you can say are 295 units. So you'll find the apartments have a swimming pool, very nice amenities. So I'll poach for a potential client, and I'll say, hey, there's this project that is somewhere, And yeah, this is your ROI. ROI, when I speak about ROI, I mean return of investment. Because being that I've traveled around the world, I've had experience to understand a bit of real estate out there. So real estate out there doesn't give back as much as it gives back in Kenya. So you find when I bring a client to a Chinese, I will get my commission. So if you buy a house at 12 million, I'm gonna get my commission of 3%. So that will be around maybe 300,000, 400,000 Kenya shilling. So it's a win for me. And when you're looking for a house as well, you want, because I deal with high end only. So if you want to rent a property in high end, and when I mean high end for our viewers who don't know Nairobi, we mean Kileleshwa, Kilimani, Lavington, Karen, Runda, Riverside, and yeah, just to mention a few. I can say that most of the people that I've interacted with is 50-50 because I've had clients who are foreigners and I've also had clients who are Kenyans. Kenyans also buy properties a lot, and you'd be shocked if Kenyans have like a whole building of Kenyans. And also potential clients, I see a lot of Somalians are venturing into real estate in Kenya. What I've realized is a trend is that let's say if a project comes out and it has facilities, so you'll find mostly when the houses were being constructed, mostly they would have a gym. But nowadays it has evolved. Everyone wants to have a property that has a gym, a swimming pool, a spa, a sauna, all in one. Children's play area, you know. So that's when you have such kind of amenities, you are going to attract a larger audience because nowadays people are tired of staying in the hotels. You know, people don't want to live in the hotels because you want to feel home away from home. So you're going to rent that beautiful villa in Karen with a beautiful scenery. When you wake up, you hear the birds chirping, and it's a good environment and mentally okay for you. What first-time buyers need to know is they need to be careful because I remember in my journey of buying properties, we had like scams when it comes to plot, it comes to all this kind of things. So you just need to know your agent really well. You need to know the people you're dealing with, the company. You also need to do a search of the property you want to buy. Yeah, so because you can end up buying a property and maybe the land is not registered. Yeah, so you need to do a land search. Once you do a land search, you need to do the property, if it's registered or if it has any problems in court. Top things that homeowners can do in their properties to increase the value, you know, to make it even higher, is, you know, when you buy a property, you buy it off plan or you buy it when it's completely ready. So how people compete is how beautiful you make or create your space. So one needs to ensure that they furnish their property, their apartment to a level that outshine any other person. Yeah, because there are people who love modern kind of furnishing, there are people who love antique, you know. So you just need to know your target audience. If your target audience is a young generation, definitely you're going to be focusing on young generation. Let me tell you, I've had clients who, there's this apartment that we furnished in antique, and this was like kind of a Gen Z. And the client lived for some time, but the client was really bothered with the bed. You know, he was like, no, this bed, I just want a modern kind of bed. And then I had also a different kind of client who was a foreigner. And because antiques in Europe are quite very expensive. So when they found that and it's handmade, he was like, wow, how much is this? Where did you buy it? Can I carry it to Europe? So that's what makes the difference. Real estate is a very, very good investment in today's economy because you are going to make money while sleeping. That's the secret of real estate. You will always make money while sleeping. And when I mean make money while sleeping, if you buy a property, the price will always appreciate. You buy a property at 10 million today, in the next 2 years, you're going to buy it for 12 million, 13 million, 14 million. Technology has changed the demographic of real estate because right now, I can see a property in Dubai if I'm in Kenya. You know, I can see, I can attract clients from United States who want to buy a property in Kenya through websites. Yeah, so that's how it's actually reaching a larger crowd of people. You know, so technology is just making everything easy for everyone because you don't even have to come to Kenya right now to buy a property. You could buy a property when you're in Italy. You could buy a property when you're in the United States. So it's the technology that has made it so easy for everyone to be able to do that. Welcome back again, and I am Diana. We are talking about real estate business in Kenya. So how we deal with land fluctuation and all the restrictions in Kenya. Most of the time, it's really advisable that you work hand in hand with your lawyer. But then at some point when the land rates fluctuate or they go really high, you just have to wait. Gated communities offer a different kind of comfort, and also high apartments, you mean, like apartments? Yeah, they also offer a different kind of comfort. But I would say that gated community is so lovely for people with families and large families. And for apartment, it's also nice for people with children, but also it's a bit squeezy, and also, you know, the children play area sometimes doesn't have the grass, and, you know, it's good if a child connects with nature. So I can say it depends with your finances. As a female realtor, it's quite challenging for people to even respect you, you know. So I managed to ensure that I'm gonna offer you that respect that you want, but I think I need it. And if you're not gonna show me respect, I'm not gonna deal with you. So that's how I managed to be where I am and deal with different developers and deal with different agents, because respect and professionalism and being ethical is my top tier priority. The cash flow depends, the low return depends. If you are renting a property in real estate, it's gonna be crazy because you have to pay the owner of the house at the end month. Like, let's say if you take a property in Iron, example in Kilimani, you take a 1-bedroom and furnished apartment at 110,000, and then you let it out there for 200,000. So it means that you are going to pay the owner of the house like 110,000. So you're going to make a profit of 90,000. So you see this, you are at a risk, because if you don't get this client, you're gonna get into your pockets and you're going to pay. But then if you buy a property, in as much as it will be very, very, very challenging, but of course, it's not as hard or as bitter as it is when you get the money from your pocket. Because if you're buying, whether you get a client or not, you're okay. Yeah, because let's say after 1 year, the price of that house will definitely appreciate. Yeah, so the patience also depends with the category that you are in. Yeah, but I can say that also when you own a property, the patience dies at some point, but now you just motivate yourself. You motivate yourself and just believe that everything is going to be okay. When it comes to clients, dealing with difficult clients, it gets easy if an individual owns a property. Yeah, if an individual owns a property, you will try to understand. You'll be like, okay, let's sit down and have a conversation and talk. But if you're not owning that property, there's someone who's owning that property, and then it comes that you had a guest who came and painted the whole house into something else. You know, it gets crazy. very crazy. Sometimes most people even involve policemen, in it. So I can say that patience is a virtue. It's not just given easily. Yeah, so I think you must have it. So if one doesn't have it, there's no way you can force one to have it. So it's a virtue that I hold, and I'm proud that I have it. So I've managed to deal with difficult clients before. I've been scammed so many times. I remember when I was in Italy, I was coming back to Kenya, and I wanted a space that was resonating with what I had outside there. So I saw this beautiful space, and I thought, wow, this is so cute. And I believed so much in online, because in Italy, most of the things are online, it's easy to facilitate things through online. So I believe that for us as well. So I saw a beautiful space. They had a website. I reached out to them. They managed to convince me, and I sent a deposit of a lot of money, only to realize that there was no doctor, the name is, and the number on WhatsApp was already blocked. So it's quite challenging. It's quite challenging because a lot of people are posing to be who they're not. And a lot of people are using other people's property, posing to be theirs. And also we've had cases where you find someone's property has been enlisted in a booking site at a cheaper price, and then an individual will come to that property, and they're like, hey, I have seen this property, it goes for a certain amount, but then it's a scammer who has enlisted the property in the website. So when you book and you come here, you don't find the exact. So it's always good to do your research very, very well. And that's why I recommend Airbnb. I would like to offer education for our Kenyan people, because most Kenyans, they say Airbnb, and I feel offended. As a realtor, I feel offended because we shouldn't say Airbnb. That's plagiarism. Airbnb is a site, just like booking.com. So when we say all these Airbnbs in Kenya, it's a lie, because Airbnb has an owner. So all the properties in Airbnb are for Airbnb. And I think we should call them long-term and short-term stays. My golden rule when it comes to investing is just ROI, the return of investment. When you're buying a property, you need to know that after 5 years, are you going to get your money back? If you buy a studio at 3.5 million, in the next 2 years, you're expecting to sell your studio at 6.5 million. So you don't buy a property where you're not going to get your money. That's why I say I focus on high end. Yeah, because there's, let's say, 80% rate of you getting your money back if you purchase in high ends in Nairobi. When you're buying a property, the first thing that you need to do is to get a lawyer. Yes. And once you get a lawyer, there are so many ways an individual can purchase a property. I'm aware that most people think that purchasing a property, you need cash. If it's 20 million, you need that 20 million to purchase a property. But that's not the case. The case is, if you're purchasing a property, you could buy properties that are off-plan. When I say off-plan, I mean you trust a foreign company with your money for 2 years. That needs patience. And also it needs a lot of understanding. So you're going to trust a foreign company for 2 years, and you're going to be paying them after every 3 months. So you don't have to put all that 20 million all at once. You're going to pay, let's say every 3 months, you put a deposit of 20 or 30% of the total amount of money. So that's the buying process. You buy it, you get involved with your lawyer, you sign the sale, you will get an offer letter. Once you get an offer letter, you will sign a sales agreement, and you have your house after 2 years. Or you buy it cash and you have your house ready. The advantages of buying a house off-plan, is that you get it cheaply. You're going to get the house cheaply. And another advantage is you have time to change your house how you want it to be. You can, if they're painting or if they're having a wall that you want it to be broken, like in our case, we had to break some walls, because we didn't like how it was set up. So you have a chance to set up your house how you want. And then once you finish the process of buying, the developers are going to hand over the property to you. It depends with how you agree. There's some properties that were handed over to me when there were no lights or chandelier. So the house was just completely empty. They've painted it and the rest of the things is for you. So you have to go to, let's say, electrician, or how do you say, to get your chandelier. You have to go to a furniture place. You have to do all that thing. But also you could also buy a property that is fully furnished, you know, where you get in and everything is furnished. And also you could buy a property that is not fully furnished, is painted, but also with chandeliers, and some come with fitted fridge, some also come with fitted kitchen and fitted washer. The advice I would give young buddies, entrepreneurs, is that you just need to stay woke. Yeah, you need to stay woke, you need to know your steps, you need to know your company, and you need to know God. Some mistakes that I've made in entrepreneurship is sometimes you can get clients who are really, really difficult, and then you end up bending into their like what they want, and then it ends up costing you. You know, like sometimes a client will tell you, oh, you know, I'm nice, you know, I'm not like other tribes or other age group, you know, so I'm gonna take care of your property, and then someone runs away with your rent, you know, and then you have to go to the police station, or maybe that is not even your house, you know, so you have to pay the entire amount of money. Yeah, it has happened to me. I had to pay some money because I trusted a client, and he was a prominent client, you know, like you're like someone else's president's son, you know, so you're like, I trust this guy. You know, so I'm gonna give him a house. But then after some time, he said, book me a house, okay. So he comes the first week, he comes the second week, he comes the third week. You earn the trust, right? And then he calls again and say, hey, I'm gonna need that house. And he never pays for that house because now you already trust them. Maybe they've flown back and you're left with a debt that you have to pay.